Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another video, and I am pumped because it is the best time of time in the entire world that has ever been times. It is quarterback rankings time. Okay, we did one about 4 weeks into the season. We did one mid-season, and now we're doing one about 3/4 of the way through the season. See where these guys move. Talk about each quarterback, and yeah, and let me know in the comments what you guys think. I know you guys are not shy, so let's move on to number 32. Kick it off with Tommy DeVito. Now, not that he's been bad. He's played one game, but it's that exact reason. I mean, he played one game, and we really didn't see much. The Giants got blown out. Giants are the worst team in football. So, yeah, he's got to land at this number 32 spot. Daniel Jones, obviously, in Minnesota, got released, got the Russell Wilson treatment. So Tommy DeVito is here, and I'm pretty sure he's coming back next week, and he's going to be the Giants starter, but I don't know for sure, nor do I really care, to be honest with you. But we will see how he performs, and will he stay at the bottom by the end of the season? I don't know. We'll see. Coming in at number 31, we have another quarterback that wasn't on this list last time. That's going to be Cooper Rush from the Dallas Cowboys. Now, it was Dak Prescott. I believe he was like the 22 range or something like that, 23 range. But Cooper Rush comes in, honestly, hasn't been too bad. I mean, in 8 games, he's put up 1,008 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, and just 10 yards on the ground. But yeah, the Cowboys have won 2 games under him, one against the Commanders in Washington, and then one against New York, the worst football team in the NFL. But Cooper Rush, like I said, he hasn't been bad. It's just that he hasn't really done anything insane, to be honest. But I wouldn't say he's been a terrible quarterback. Coming in at number 30, and by the way, I just spoiled who 30 was, but pretty sure Dak Prescott's not coming back this year. I don't really see why he would. So I'm riding with the fact that Cooper Rush is going to be the Cowboys starter for the rest of the season. But coming in at number 30, we have Bryce Young from the Carolina Panthers, and in 9 games, he's put up 1,381 passing yards, 6 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and 108 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. We did not have him ranked previously. We had Andy Dalton. I want to say he was maybe like 27 or something like that. But Bryce Young is back, and I will say he's looked improved in these past couple of games. He's been able to keep the Panthers in games. Like, he took the Bucks to overtime, only lost by 3 to the Chiefs. So he's been playing a lot better, a lot more competitively. And the Panthers have been kind of fun to watch recently. But looking at his stat line for this season, definitely needs to improve for my opinion, to change on him. I know, numbers aren't everything, but they don't lie at the same time. So I think that I think Bryce Young just needs to play a little bit better. But honestly, I would say I've been impressed the past couple of weeks because he hasn't looked terrible. But coming in at number 29, we have Will Levis, who was at the bottom like pretty consistently. I want to say in the past 2 videos I've done, he's been at the bottom. But he does jump up 3 spots here to number 29. In 9 games, he's put up 1,600 yards, 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, as well as 172 yards on the ground. And the biggest thing with Will Levis is I thought he was supposed to be like this big dual threat quarterback, but looking at like his mobility stats, his rushing stats, even his rookie year, he hasn't been that at all. And I just don't think that he is talented enough as a passer to warrant him as a starting quarterback next season. But he has been playing better the past couple of games. Like, I will say he's definitely benefited off of like Tommy DeVito being in there and Dak Prescott being out. But at the same time, let's give him his credit. He's played a little bit better than he has in the first half of the season in these past couple games. So there is that. Coming in at number 28, we have Aiden O'Connell, Mr. AOC himself. And in 5 games, he's put up 795 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and then nothing on the ground. The biggest thing with the Raiders this season is I just never know who their quarterback even is. Right now, it's Aiden O'Connell. Gardner Minshew, he is out for the year. And I remember after his collarbone injury, Desmond Ridder was expected to start against the Chiefs. Aiden O'Connell came back. I don't really know, but he actually played pretty decent against the Chiefs. He's only played 1 more game since we last made this video, and it was that Chiefs game. So he does jump up 3 spots by default to number 28, but still want to see more from him, and hopefully he doesn't get hurt. Coming in at number 27, we have famous Jameis himself, Jameis Winston from the Cleveland Browns. And honestly, I thought he'd be higher than this in my head, but just looking at the numbers and actually like doing the research for this video, he's unfortunately he's at this spot. In 10 games, he's put up, and he hasn't played 10 games, so ignore that. He definitely has not started 10 games. There's no way. He's put up about 1,800 yards, 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, as well as 57 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. We previously had him 25th, so he drops 2 spots, but that's just, I think, some of the bottom quarterbacks playing a little bit better. But the biggest thing with Jameis Winston, like I said, he is just he elevates this Browns offense, to be honest with you. Like, being at number 27 just doesn't do him justice because Deshaun Watson did not have this offense moving down the field whatsoever. You saw it in the Broncos game. But he's just been able to keep this offense fun, entertaining, and competitive. And I saw this crazy stat about Jameis Winston where like he's on pace to have like something like 5,700 passing yards if he played like a full season. 34 touchdowns, 24 picks. Like, it's just, Jameis, never change. Please, never change. Coming in at number 26, we have Anthony Richardson, who is back as the Colts starter. So the Joe Flacco experiment's already over. Anthony Richardson, in 9 games this season, he's put up 1,500 yards, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, but 383 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. So he's been able to do a lot with his legs, but as a passer, there is still much improvement that we want to see. But the Colts, I want to say they're 2-0 in their past 2 games, so that is good under Anthony Richardson. But he just needs to improve his efficiency for sure, and I think the Colts will be good. Coming in at number 25, we have our first rookie, I want to say. Our first rookie on this list, that's going to be Drake May from the New England Patriots, who's, I would say he's been impressive, especially considering like how bad this Patriots offense is. Like, there is nobody on this Patriots offense, and Drake May, outside of Ramondre Stevenson, but Drake May has been able to do, put up pretty decent stats. I think if Drake May was a bad quarterback, his stats would look way worse than this, just based off of how bad the Patriots offense truly is. But in 9 games, he's put up about 1,700 yards, 11 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, as well as 345 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. So getting it done with his legs. I didn't know Drake May was this much of a runner, but I guess when you have like Kendrick Bourne, or I don't even know, as your number 1 receiver, you kind of have to use your legs. But he's definitely in the same boat as Jameis. He has not played 9 games. He's played less than that, at least started less than that. But we previously had him 27, so he does jump up 2 spots to number 25. Love to see it. I think he'll keep improving. Coming in at number 24, we have the man who just cannot stay healthy and just got freaking destroyed in that Texans game with a dirty hit. That's going to be Trevor Lawrence from the Jacksonville Jaguars. In 10 games, he's put up 2,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, as well as 119 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. We previously had him 18th. He was looking pretty impressive by the time we made our last video, but he's dropped a bit in efficiency, so he's dropped 6 spots, and he's been hurt too. So, but he dropped 6 spots to number 24. Oh my gosh, man. Probably my coldest take. No, definitely not my coldest take. I'd say my coldest take was putting Malik Neighbors at 32 in the receiver rankings, but one of my other coldest takes at the beginning of the season was putting Kirk Cousins at 5th, because this dude has been horrible so far. He had that really good game against the Bucs that elevated him. He had like a good game after that, but other than that, he has been very inefficient. Just been really disappointing. In 12 games, he's put up 3,000 yards, 17 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and nothing on the ground. He was previously ranked 12th. He does drop 11 spots to number 23. Due to just, he's got to stop turning over the ball. My goodness. Coming in at I want to say, hold on real quick. I want to say he's our biggest faller, dropping 11 spots. Because he was 12th, and this puts him in like below average starter tier, which is disappointing with that contract. Coming in at number 22, we have another turnover-prone quarterback, Geno Smith from the Seattle Seahawks, but he has been winning. His team is 7-5 right now, I want to say. And in 12 games, he's put up 3,200 yards, 13 passing touchdowns, 12 interceptions, as well as 226 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. He has dropped 6 spots since our last video to number 22, but the Seahawks are still first in the NFC West. So he's still been able to win games. Just got to cut back on the turnovers here a little bit. Coming in at number 21, we have a quarterback who jumps up 5 spots and has looked a lot better since I last made this video. But his team has just still been not been able to win like whatsoever. That's going to be Aaron Rodgers from the New York Jets. And in 12 games, he's put up 2,600 yards, 19 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, as well as 56 yards and 0 touchdowns on the ground. Like I said, we previously had him 26th. He jumps up 5 spots. But this Jets team has just been so disappointing this season in general. It's been really unfortunate. Have not been able to win games, not been able to close out games. But Aaron Rodgers still putting up a decent stat line. But I definitely think if the Jets were winning games, he would be higher than this. Coming in at number 20, we have another pretty disappointing quarterback. Call it a sophomore slump. Call it whatever you want. C.J. Stroud has not been good this year, or at least not on pace with what we thought he was going to be based off his rookie year. In 13 games, he's put up 3,100 yards, 15 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions, as well as 199 yards and 0 touchdowns on the ground. We previously had him 11th, and he drops 9 spots to number 20. And I do not feel bad about this ranking at all. Yes, I know his team is 8-5, but in the past 2 games, past like 6 games, he's looked, not very comfortable. The past 2 games, they lost to the Titans. They lost to Will Levis and the Titans. And in this past game, they beat Mac Jones and the Jaguars by 3. Congratulations. But I don't know. I'm a little worried about this Texans team. Hopefully C.J. Stroud can put it together in time for the playoffs. Coming in at number 19, we have another quarterback whose team has been disappointing. But honestly, individually, has looked pretty decent. And I'll say, like, I said another quarterback because we talked about Aaron Rodgers, who I thought his stat line would have looked worse. But Caleb Williams, honestly, like, he hasn't been doing a lot. It's kind of hard with that offensive line with how bad they are. The amount of times this dude gets hit in a game is ridiculous. But I'd say he's looked pretty, not too bad in his rookie year. In 12 games, he's put up 2,600 yards, 14 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, as well as 378 yards and 0 touchdowns on the ground. Previously, we had him 24th. He jumps up 5 spots to number 19. So Bears been disappointing. I definitely didn't expect him to jump up at all, but he does. He jumps up 5 spots. Would like to see him allow the Bears to win some games. They just got rid of their head coach, so maybe that'll change things in Chicago a little bit. Coming in at number 18, we have Matthew Stafford from the LA Rams. We previously had him 17, so he just drops 1 spot, but basically stays where he's at. And in 12 games, he's put up about 3,000 yards, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, as well as 11 yards and 0 touchdowns on the ground. And the biggest thing with Matthew Stafford is some of the inefficiencies in his stats and in his play definitely has something to do with not having Cooper Kupp or Puka for a couple weeks. So I definitely think he's looked a lot better recently. But yeah, Matthew Stafford's still having a pretty decent year, still winning games. So love to see it. And then coming in at number 17, we have a guy who's been looking so impressive recently. Like the Broncos' best quarterback they've had in years. And that's going to be Bo Nix from the Denver Broncos. And in 13 games, he's put up 2,800 yards, 17 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, as well as 304 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. And yeah, Bo Nix has just been playing amazing. He has been elevating this Broncos offense to a different level. Yeah, we previously had him 22nd. He jumps up 5 spots. Honestly, surprised that's it. I mean, I'm surprised that's all he jumps up. But looking at the guys ahead of him, I just can't justify putting Bo Nix in front of him. But he will probably continue to rise up this list. And yeah, he's looked really, really good. Coming in at number 16, we have Derek Carr from the New Orleans Saints. And 9 games this year, he's put up 1,900 yards, 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, as well as 59 yards and a touchdown on the ground. We previously had him 21st, and he jumps up 5 spots to number 16. Now, listen, I say what you want to say about Derek Carr. I personally, I personally think Derek Carr is underrated. I've said this. He had a good year last year. I think he is just an underrated quarterback. I think he's kind of one of those quarterbacks that just no one really talks about. So when you put him here at 16 in front of some of the guys behind him, you're going to rage. But I think Derek Carr, with the impact he's had on the Saints, he's put up good numbers, but just the on-field impact, you're talking about the Saints going on a 5-game losing streak with him hurt. He played in like 2 of those games. Well, one of those games was against the Chiefs. That's the game where he got hurt. But just since he's come back into this offense, the Saints have been so much more competitive. They've been winning games. And, I think this is justified here with Derek Carr, about middle of the pack. I'd say he is an average starter, sometimes slightly above average. But for the most part, he's an average quarterback starter. And then coming in at number 15, we have Brock Purdy from the San Francisco 49ers, and he just continues to drop. We had him 5th after the first 4 weeks. We had him 10th last time, and now he just drops 5 more spots to number 15 as just kind of an average guy, to be honest. He's just a chill guy. And in 11 games, he's put up 2,700 yards, 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, as well as 271 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. Like I said, we previously had him 10th. He drops 5 spots to number 15. But 49ers have not been winning. They just lost Christian McCaffrey to a season-ending injury. Brock Purdy's been banged up himself. Just a nightmare season in San Fran. And then coming in at number 14, we have Patrick Mahomes from the Kansas City Chiefs. And in 12 games, he's looked a lot better since we last made this list. He's put up 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, as well as 231 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. We previously had him 15th. He jumps up 1 spot to number 14. Listen, the Chiefs are 11-1, but they all know that they are frauds because that is one of the worst 11-1 teams I've seen. But like I said, I will say he's played a lot better since we last made this list. I want to say the last time we made this list, he had more interceptions than touchdowns or something like that. So definitely improved, but Chiefs have not looked any better in the past couple weeks. Coming in at number 13, we have a guy who has not been turning over the ball whatsoever. 1 interception. Are you kidding me? 1 interception in 12 games is absolutely ridiculous. We have Justin Herbert from the LA Chargers, and in 12 games, he's put up 2,500 yards, 13 touchdowns, 1 interception, 212 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. We previously had him 19th. He jumps up 6 spots. One of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL. His team is 8-4. His team is winning. What more can you ask? He's been taking care of the ball, and he's been reliable when he's called upon. But this Chargers team has been such a good rushing offense that they haven't needed to call upon him a lot. But when they need to, he's there, and that's all you can ask for. Coming in at number 12, we have Tua from the Miami Dolphins, our biggest riser by far, because we previously had him 30th. He jumps up 18 spots to number 12. And the reason we had him 30th, he was going through his injury, his concussion, right? And in the games that he even played, he just didn't really look that good. But since he's come back, he has been lights out. In 8 games, he's put up 2,100 yards, 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, as well as 47 yards and 0 touchdowns on the ground. Love to see that those rushing numbers. Like, he's probably the only quarterback on this list where I'm like, yeah, that's good that he doesn't have high rushing numbers because this dude needs to take care of himself. But as a pocket passer, he has been fantastic. He has been, like I said, just lights out since he's come back. So happy to see Tua back. Happy to see the Dolphins winning again. But we'll see if Tua can take him to the playoffs. Coming in at number 11, we have Jordan Love, who just beat Tua on Thanksgiving from the Green Bay Packers. And in 10 games, he's put up 2,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, as well as 48 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. We previously had him 14th. He jumps up 3 spots to number 11. But Jordan Love just putting up good numbers. Would like to see a cutback on the turnovers a bit, but the Packers have been winning games. Packers look good, so they're at 9-3. So can't really knock him too much. Coming in at number 10, we have Kyler Murray from the Arizona Cardinals, who just barely makes our top 10. And in 12 games, he's put up 2,600 yards, 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, as well as 428 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. We previously had him 8th. He drops 2 spots to number 10. You can make a case he could go over Jordan Love, but I think Kyler Murray just had such a big impact on the Cardinals winning. Recently, he's struggled a little bit, and the Cardinals have lost those 2 games. So it's unfortunate to see, but I think Kyler will pick it up. I think the Cardinals honestly have a chance to make the playoffs. They were 1 point away from winning, or I'm sorry, they only lost by 1 point to a 10-2 team in Minnesota. So I would say that things are still bright in Arizona. They just got to get back above 500. And Kyler's stat line isn't explosive. I just think he's been doing more winning. He's been doing a lot of things with his legs as well. So I got to put Kyler here at number 10. And then coming in at number 9, we have Sam Darnold, who just beat Kyler on Sunday from the Minnesota Vikings. And in 12 games, he's put up about 3,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, as well as 187 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. We previously had him 7th, and he drops 2 spots to number 9. He's still been pretty good. He's still been efficient. I will say, dropped off a little bit since the beginning of the season, but I think we all expected that. The stat line I'm looking at right now is still really good. The record I'm looking at with the Vikings at 10-2, still really good. So, Sam Darnold definitely been playing like a top 10 quarterback this year. And then coming in at number 8, we have Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles. And in 12 games, he's put up about 2,500 yards, 14 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, as well as 485 yards and 12 goddamn touchdowns on the ground. Those are all 1-yard fucking QB sneak touchdowns. Not all of them, but most of them. So I like to ignore that number, or else if he actually had 12 actual running touchdowns, he would be a lot higher on this list. But his team is 9-2, right? Or are they 9-3? No, they're 10-2. His team is 10-2. His team looks really good. Jalen Hurts has been taking care of the ball. He hasn't really had to do a whole lot. But when he is, it's kind of like a Justin Herbert situation. When he is called upon, he's been efficient. He's been good. So he jumps up 3 spots on this list to number 8, from number 11 to number 8. And then coming in at number 7, we have Jared Goff from the Detroit Lions. And in 12 games, he's put up about 3,000 yards, 22 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, as well as 40 yards and 0 touchdowns on the ground. We previously had him 9th. He jumps up 2 spots to number 7. Lions looking like such a complete team. Honestly, surprised that Jared Goff's numbers look this good because they have such an efficient running back core. And most complete, probably the most complete team in the NFL right now. I had the Eagles above them in my power rankings, but Jared Goff has been having a really good season, making an MVP. Probably, I would say he'd be like a top 5 MVP candidate for me right now. So can't hate the guy. I don't know what I'm saying. He's good. He's a good football player. Coming in at number 6, we have Russell Wilson from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is the Russell Wilson that I love to see. Russell Wilson, who puts up 44 points against a divisional opponent. This is the Russell Wilson that I love to see. And in 6 games, he's put up 1,600 yards, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 27 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. We previously had him 13th. He jumps up 7 spots to be damn near our top 5. It's just, I wish he wasn't on the Steelers, but it's nice to see Russell Wilson back, playing a lot better. It was funny in the game against the Bengals. I texted my friends after his pick 6, and I said, "Well, Russell Wilson is back." But then I looked like an idiot because he played out of his mind after that. So, wish it wasn't the Steelers. I wish it was any other team other than the Steelers, but love to see Russell Wilson balling again. And then coming in at number 5, we have Jaden Daniels from the Washington Commanders. And in 13 games, he puts up 2,800 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, as well as 590 yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground. We previously had him 5th. Now, spoiler alert, I don't know if you remember my top 5 from last time, but the top 5 literally does not change. I did not move any of these guys because I still think that they are warranted to be in the top 5. But the Commanders are 8-5. Jane Daniels still been playing pretty good. I think Bo Nix breaking out has definitely overshadowed that, but Jane Daniels not, turning over the ball and doing a lot with his legs and doing a lot for this offense. So I still have him here at number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have Baker Mayfield from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I was going back and forth, but I think with Baker Mayfield above Jane Daniels, above Russell Wilson, and above Jared Goff, But I think Baker, edges out all those guys. Pause. Because of the situation. I mean, this dude is literally the Buccaneers. Like, Baker Mayfield has been doing everything for this team. He lost Mike Evans. He lost Chris Godwin. And the biggest thing that we assumed was that Baker Mayfield's play was going to drop, and it didn't. Baker Mayfield still kept the Bucs in games. He still kept this offense on fire. And in 12 games, he's put up 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, as well as 229 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. This dude's been doing everything for them. I'm going to keep him here at 4th. He has not moved since the beginning of beginning of the season. I did not have him at 4, but after 4 weeks I did. Midseason I did, and right now he's not moving. He is staying at 4th. And then jumping into our top 3, we have Joe Burrow from the Cincinnati Bengals. And you got to feel for this guy, man. In 12 games, look at this stat line: 3,300 yards, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 160 yards and 1 touchdown on the ground. We previously had him 3rd. He stays right at 3rd. Joe Burrow, if he wasn't winning, might be number 2 or number 1 or if he was winning, would probably be number 2 on this list. But the Bengals at 4-8, I just don't. I know he's doing everything he can. It is just the weirdest situation I think I've seen in a while. It's giving like the Chargers when they had the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense in the NFL and they missed the playoffs, because this dude's having an unreal year. I mean, you factor that into a 17-game season, and this dude's having like 41 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and like 4,500 yards. And the Bengals would not make the playoffs. That just goes to show how bad the fucking defense is. And then coming in at number 2, we have Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills. And in 12 games, he put up 2,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, as well as 334 yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground. We previously had him 2nd, and he does not change, as well as our number 1. But I know a lot of people want to make a case for this guy to be number 1. I mean, when you look at the numbers and you look at what it's tough though, because Josh Allen just has a much better record than our number 1 spot. But I can't do it. I'm sorry, I can't put him at number 1. But Josh Allen has been playing out of his mind, winning games and doing everything he can for the Bills. But coming in at number 1, we have Lamar Jackson from the Baltimore Ravens. And in 13 games, he's put up 3,300 yards, 29 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, as well as 678 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. He stays at number 1. The stat line I'm looking at right now is fucking ridiculous. And if the Ravens had a better record, I mean, he would be talked about as the best quarterback in the league by far. It just sucks, man. The Ravens are literally like killing themselves. But this isn't a video to talk about the Ravens and my depression. This is a video to talk about Lamar Jackson and quarterbacks. And Lamar Jackson putting up obviously very good numbers with his legs, and with his arm, he's putting up Joe Burrow type numbers. I mean, it's just bonkers. But let me know what you guys think. Who would you move? Who would be your number 1? Who do you think is too high? Who do you think is too low? Let me know in the comments. Make sure to subscribe if you guys haven't already. If you guys enjoy the video, leave a like. I'd appreciate it so much. I appreciate all the support every day that you guys give. And I appreciate you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Later.